My folks decided to host a barbecue because I guess that's what older people do. I declined because I really don't like my two sisters, their husbands, or their kids. My wife and I are child-free. Mom then pressured my wife. Long story short, we went. By the time we arrived, there were about 20 people there. My sisters and their husbands were already solidly buzzed. Intoxicated, really. My mom spent 100% of her time trying to keep the nieces and nephews, ages pre-tween to tween, more or less under control. My dad had strategically retreated to the whirlpool part of the pool with a smaller cooler full of beers. My wife and I made small talk with miscellaneous people, ate food, and had a frozen margarita. Sisters and brothers-in-law took turns criticizing us for being late, not being in our swimsuits, and screwing up the vibe. Whatever. Typical suburban summer get-together. About 45 minutes in, two kids ran at one of the neighbor guests standing next to the pool and pushed her in. She was at the pool steps, stumbled but didn't fall, so she only got half wet. She was clearly very unhappy about it, but she didn't make a scene, just went over to where the parents were, grabbed their towels, dried herself off, and left. My sisters and brothers-in-law thought it was all great fun. A bit later, I was standing a few feet away from the pool, chatting away with someone. I saw three of the kids running full tilt at me from the corner of my eye. Obviously, I was next. Not that it's terribly difficult to outwit young kids, but I just jumped out of their way at the last second. All three of them ran straight into the pool at full speed. Most of the other guests, including my wife and me, started laughing, but their moms, who, as I mentioned, were pretty intoxicated, absolutely freaked out. Apparently, two of the kids couldn't swim, even though they were in swimsuits. Since I wasn't in swim gear, I stepped back from the pool and let the other people fish the kids out. The kids were bawling their heads off like they'd lost a limb. At that point, it all broke loose. The four intoxicated parents were yelling at everyone in general, and me in particular, for nearly letting their kids drown. And also, because two of the kids had been videoing the trick using their parents' iPhones, which were now at the bottom of the pool. One of my brothers-in-law got into the pool to try to retrieve the phones, but his BMI and BAC made that impossible. No one else volunteered to help, which was unsurprising, given that my sisters were still yelling at everyone. I told my sisters it was their job to watch their kids, and that if anything had happened to them, it would have been their responsibility, not mine. There were some pretty strong words on both sides. My wife and I left after the other brother-in-law fell over and face-planted while yelling at us. Now they're saying I should have at least let the little idiot knock me into the pool and have their fun and ruin my phone. So, am I the idiot? Side note, Dad, of course, never got out of the whirlpool. Not the idiot. The kids messed around and found out. If the parents' phones got ruined in the process, that's on them for not controlling their little terrors. I can see why you avoid family get-togethers. Hopefully next time, your wife won't allow herself to be guilted into making you go. By the way, Dad was the smart one. He knew what was going to happen. Gee, I wonder why OP doesn't like them. They sound absolutely charming. If they're anything like my parents, the mom brings it upon herself, planning the whole thing and enabling her precious grand angels despite Dad's protest, then plays the victim when things go horribly wrong. Camping in the whirlpool is one giant I told you so. Maybe you and your wife can have your dad over to your place next time. I'd party with him 8 days a week. Dad was probably like, Martha, I'd like to enjoy my retirement. I don't want to entertain a bunch of intoxicated idiots and noisy kids. The parents knew their kids could not swim and took them somewhere with deep water and were not watching their kids. And they were intoxicated, rendering them less able to react quickly if something did happen, which is a pretty likely outcome of hyped-up kids running around a pool area, even without the silly pushing game, which adds another layer of what can go wrong. Your siblings and their partners are morons, and they're raising the next generation of brats we'll all have to deal with. If those kids have any chance of not growing up to be, well, what their parents are, it's you teaching them the lessons their parents won't by absolutely slam dunking on them, just like this, whenever you get the chance. And every time anyone complains, you should tell them all that. Stand firm. The punishment was issued because our pre-tween son, Callum, faked being sick the day of his dad's wedding so he wouldn't be there. X got married last weekend. My ex was furious when he found out, and the truth came out because he went home to check on our son in the afternoon and found our son perfectly fine after saying that morning that his stomach hurt really bad and he felt like he was going to be sick, and actually pretended to have puked at some point that morning. So X and his wife were upset, but decided he should stay home if he wasn't feeling good. The babysitter also told X our son seemed fine once everyone was gone and he'd been normal. Our son admitted it to his dad when asked directly, and my ex grounded him for a month and told him he would not be having any kind of fun when he missed something as important as his wedding and the day their family became bigger. When the exchange day took place, my ex sent me this long, in-depth email about what our son had done, the punishment he had set, and that he expected me to continue the punishment at my house so our son could be grounded for 4 consecutive weeks instead of spreading it over 2 months. I spoke to our son when we were home, and he admitted to me that he was really upset about his dad getting married and the fact things at his house were now permanent, and he didn't love that his stepmom was now his stepmom and her daughters were now his stepsisters. I told him I'd make him an appointment with his therapist. She got him in quickly, and they had a good talk. I also decided not to continue the grounding at my house. I notified my ex. He was angry. His wife was angry. They told me my and my ex's son had disrespected both of them and his new sisters by avoiding celebrating them all becoming one family. I told them that Callum, our son, was struggling with all the changes, and he's had trouble adjusting to us no longer being together and us both having new partners who have other kids, that I'd gotten him into therapy for that very reason, and that X chose not to bring our son when he has him, as is his right, but I also have the right to take a different approach. X said that our son never told him these things and that I should be backing him up. I pointed out that our son did tell him. It was 2 years ago, but he did tell him, and he gave him attitude for it. X said it was no excuse and that I should help punish him. I told him I wanted our son to tell me things, so I would always try to find ways to help him without punishing him. X and his wife say I'm an idiot and I should continue the punishment. She said I would not allow my son to dictate my life or that I wouldn't like him skipping something like that of mine. I told her I delayed furthering my relationship until my son was more comfortable, and I did so because he wasn't behaving the best around them, and we talked, and I realized he needed some help and time. Am I the idiot? Why are we even thinking of punishment? He stayed home. It was his form of protest, a way to control an untenable, by his standards, situation in a small way. He could not stop the event, but chose not to participate. He didn't ruin the day. For a pre-tween, he did pretty well. No histrionics, no sabotage, no damage or bad manners. By the way, don't you think the kid got punished enough by being thrust into a familiar relationship that he's not ready to accept? But old Daddy-O is all about himself. And 4 weeks for a pre-tween? Yeesh. Someone is about to discover how long a displaced child can hold on to the hurt while never accepting the new and improved family. Best of luck to the boy. He deserves so much better than he's receiving. Start documentation. Your ex is making unreasonable demands to overrule your parenting decisions and your parenting authority. His spouse is making harmful statements about your son's upbringing. I cannot imagine how terrible life is at your ex's house, or how badly he's been treated as to fake an illness out of protest against this wedding. You'll need those records for the upcoming custody revision that you'll have to file for in family court. Not the idiot. I am a team mom, therapy and understanding. I have 4 siblings, and my 2 brothers have refused to talk to each other, mostly for the past 2 years. I'm getting married in a few months, and there's literally 1 week before then that they'll all be in town. And my brothers agreed that we could have a family dinner, and they'd both come and be on their best behavior. My brother Owen's only stipulation is that my brother Greg's girlfriend, Joni, doesn't come. The reason Owen doesn't want Greg's girlfriend there is part of the reason they haven't talked. This is due to Owen's wife, Tracy, being very upset with Joni, still, over an episode when Tracy had my youngest niece. Joni babysat for their other child, and they had apparently made arrangements that Joni would continue to do so for the newborn as well, after Tracy was done with maternity leave. However, there was some kind of miscommunication where Joni thought that Owen and Tracy were going to be paying her more money, and Owen and Tracy thought she'd be getting the same rate. So, a week before Tracy gave birth, Joni literally just stopped showing up without giving them time to find anyone else. This blew up into this huge fight that involved other pre-existing tensions with Owen and Greg. I thought this seemed fair because Tracy is technically now part of the family, while Joni isn't. However, Greg got very mad about this because he said Joni is his family at this point, and if she can't come, then Tracy shouldn't be able to either. The problem is that Owen will refuse to come if Tracy can't, but Greg said he'd come anyway. So I asked him if he couldn't just take one for the team this once, and now he's really mad at me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Your brother and his wife tried to seriously scam Joni to work underpaid. Would they think that they could put both of their children into daycare, but just pay for one child? Joni stood up for herself, and your brother and his wife are playing favorites, and you are all totally out of line, acting like Joni's in the wrong here. Playing favorites like this will make Greg cut you all off. I hope you're prepared for that. I agree, but Joni just not showing up was not appropriate. Bailing without giving the other couple some notice so they can find a replacement a week or so before the birth is an idiot move. But it is not OP's place to sort this out. The 2 couples need to figure this out. I don't for 1 second believe that Joni didn't warn them. Think about it. She stopped showing up a week before the birth. So it's not like she was babysitting both and then was blindsided by the pay and then stopped working. It was before. So that means they obviously had a conversation about it. There's no way it's planned out like Tracy's claiming. It sounds like Joni quit when she found out they wanted her to watch an infant, essentially for free. They couldn't even give her the courtesy of informing her of their insane expectations. Was she supposed to provide them with 2 weeks' notice or something? OP, so obviously, your fiancé isn't invited either, then, since according to your definition, he's not family yet, correct? You are the idiot, because you're not choosing to exclude Joni because you think her behavior over the kid or babysitting situation was wrong, but because she and your brother aren't married. I can't stand people who measure the validity of a relationship by whether or not the couple is married. Fantastic point. Fiancé shouldn't be invited either. You're only family if you provide free, unpaid labor and allow them to take advantage of you. Always amazing how many idiots you can find in a single family. I'm 33 female, an avid hiker and nature goer. I am not a dog person, mostly due to several less than positive experiences while hiking. So I found myself going to more and more dog-free trails. I was at a national park recently that also cuts through and is near a nature preserve. It was a clear no dogs area with plenty of can't miss signage. I'm a half hour into the hike when I come across someone with a dog in a service dog vest. The dog is on an extendable leash, and it's very curious, sniffing everything and stepping off the trail. I tell the owner, dogs aren't allowed on this trail, and it definitely shouldn't be stepping off the trail, even if your service dog is real. She ignores me. I pause. I'm just angry at the disrespect of the rules. I specifically chose this trail to avoid dogs. I straight up told her, "I think your dog is a fake service dog." Well, she shot daggers at me with her eyes, and she told me to shut up and chewed me out for assuming she didn't have a disability. She also calls me an idiot for questioning her. I maintain I think her service dog is fake. I told her, even if it's real, you're acting rude and disrespectful. I passed her. I told a friend what I did, and she told me I was an idiot to this person. I think I was in the right. You are the idiot. Service dogs also need breaks. They're animals, not automatons, and sometimes need to pee and poo and rest their brain. The fact that the dog was sniffing around doesn't mean it wasn't a service dog working while on the trail. OP, it's not up to you to personally enforce the park's rules or decide which service dogs are real. While it's possible that it was indeed a fake service dog, you don't know that. Service dogs can come in lots of varieties. If you had a complaint or concern, you should have brought it up with park management or whoever else manages the trail. That's the bottom line. What's next? Accusing a person in a wheelchair of faking? You are a special kind of entitled. Not the idiot. Service dogs are never on extendable leashes, and I'm tired of people calling everything an emotional support animal. Actual service animals come from trainers, and clearly, not everybody who has a muffin in a yellow vest has a service animal. It makes it more difficult for those who have legitimate service dogs. Google stories of dogs destroying nature preserves and bird sanctuaries. People like the owner suck. I'm traveling with 5 friends now, and we're traveling cheaply. However, we had one long layover in an airport with a great VIP lounge. The thing about these lounges is that they have free food and liquor and comfortable chairs and shower facilities. I told my friends what I was on about, and they all said that they didn't want to waste money. So I went to the lounge by myself. I had some snacks, a few drinks, a quick nap, a long hot shower, and then I caught up with my friends at the gate. My phone was fully charged. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. When we started talking, they complained about the cost of everything at the airport. They asked why I looked so pleased with myself. I told them about my stay in the lounge. 2 of them got visibly angry. They said I was an idiot for not telling everything that there was in the lounge. They actually had spent more on food and drinks than I had. Plus, I got to nap in a comfy chair and have a shower. I said that lounges aren't a secret and that the internet exists. They could have looked up the same information as I did. Am I the idiot for paying for a lounge at an airport during a long layover? Not the idiot. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You told them what you were going to do, and at this point, everyone should have an idea of what lounges have in them. Not your fault that they didn't want to check it out. They say they didn't want to waste money, but they went and bought food at the airport anyway. Surprised their friends shut off the idea, even before checking out how much the lounge cost. LOL. With the long layover, lounges are an amazing hack, especially if you want cocktails. Airport cocktails can be like $30. 2 cocktails and you've paid for your lounge pass. However, maybe don't gloat about the great time you've had when you're with people who've had a rough time, especially if you've got to travel together. Keep the peace. It doesn't seem like OP was very transparent with their friends about what they were declining. The fact that OP didn't go, "No, really, it's worth the money. Free food and drinks, shower, place to sleep. It's great." When telling their friends about it just seems so weird to me. Like, did OP not want their friends to be comfortable too? It would take 2 seconds to give a little info on why the lounge is worth it. But instead, OP kept their mouth shut and then was smug about it later. You are the idiot, OP. Only some people travel or know all that information. A good friend would at least inform their travel companions of the benefits so they could all enjoy together. I've traveled with friends before and had the same dilemma of them not wanting to spend the money, but I took 5 minutes to explain what was included, and then we all enjoyed the lounge together. Keeping that info to yourself and then gloating about it to the people you call your friends is an idiot move. Sure, the internet has that info. So did you right then, during the conversation.